dollar rallying into it as I forecasted on Monday. Still in this range, par 30 to par 50. We could get some type of spike here. There's an old saying that markets will you can buy the rumor, sell the fact on good news, and perhaps that's a tip of what we may have setting up here into the ECB tomorrow. If you look at this, it's a rising wedge. We held exactly where we had to, so if we start taking out this level, the low of the day that we had yesterday, Monday's pullback, Tuesday's pullback under 99.75, I believe next target's 98.5 and then possibly down to 96. But in the next 48 hours, I'm preparing for spiking action with certain levels. I'm looking to fade dollar strength. Going into the next 48 hours, it could stretch into early next week, but I feel it's very late to be chasing alongside the dollar. I know I've said it here. I know I said it here. I was not saying it down here. So we're at these targets from the 92.5 to 97, takes you up towards 101, possibly 101.50. There's been long bandied about targets at 102 to 103. If we have that type of acceleration into it, it's a kind of a panic blow-off move. But I'm a betting man. I'm a trader. I'll look for setups to fade dollar strength. Give me a Y if you're with me. You see the divergence. So we've been diverging in the dollar for quite some time. Those divergences are holding up as well in the euro, not so much in the pound. Also, I talked about a third drive in Aussie. It went right to the line. You'll see it when I get to that particular instrument. And so the dollar's blowing off to the upside. In my view, I've seen many inflection points on the NFP, which is Friday. So I'm looking for a spike move in the upside in the dollar to execute short dollar positions and long dollar positions in the euro. As I've been pounding the table for weeks, euro pound, although euro has made successive new lows and could make another one tomorrow, EG is not. It's much more about pound's relative weakness and euro strength, but I still believe it's a signal for a potential turn in the dollar. Normally you don't have bull moves in euro pound without a pullback in the dollar. If you look at the euro pound, you have a nice lead going into the ECB tomorrow. And as I said on Monday, I'd be buying breaks. That turned out to be the low that we were talking about on Monday. We're well over 50, 60 pips above that level. So give me a Y if you're with me on my view that there's a potential inflection point high in the dollar. It may not be the high, but it could be at least a high. Give me a Y if you're with me. So Canada's had a wild session. You guys know that I'm leaning towards some type of low developing in the crude and some type of correction in the Canadian dollar. The Saudi oil minister made some comments that gave us some extreme volatility in the crude oil market. It spiked and failed again. I have numbers around that 135 level as a potential sale. In USD CAD, we get through that, then 138 is a possibility. But take a look at the crude and the volatility, the range that we've had in the crude oil market. So we're trying to hold these lows and getting a decent reversal here. So even if we spike here down towards 38 or so, I feel it's kind of late to be shorting the crude, although I know a lot of people are looking for 30 next year. Why can't we have a rally back to 44 first? So this recovery in the crude, which the catalyst was a statement made by the Saudi oil minister, also created that decline in Canada. Very wide range candle. Volatility is increasing in Canada. So if the dollar continues to push up into the next couple days into the ECB, still view Canada as a potential shorting opportunity. Give me a Y if you're with me on the correlation of Canada and the crude. So gold looks like I was right that there could be one more decline to take out that 1050 low. Had targets as low as 1040, 1030. That's looking more viable. And it coincides with what may be at least a short-term topping formation happening in Aussie. So if you want to be bullish Aussie, and I agree with it intermediate term, I believe that you're going to have a buying opportunity to buy a nice break in Aussie over the coming sessions, even though if I'm right about the dollar and the dollar coming off, it's still possible for the commodity currencies to correct as they've been holding up the best. And they still, on this spike in the dollar, could set up buying opportunities. Gold still looking heavy, thinking that 1030 is in the cards, 1040, 1030 in the coming days. Just want to show you something that kind of tells you to temper some of your bearishness in the gold. I'll give you a mining stock. So here's gold making new lows for the move, and here's Yamana Gold, which bottomed way back in September. And gold is making new lows. Okay, gold has taken out these lows, whereas the mining shares, most of them are posting higher lows. So if gold really flushes, the miners are going to be your preferred long. Maybe gold flushes to 1030, and we still did not make new lows in the miners. Just a heads up, I was schooled that the underlying shares of a commodity will turn before the commodity itself. So that's a little bit of a warning sign for gold bears that the miners are showing resiliency, and they, to me, are on my radar screen for potential buys at 1030 gold. Give me a Y if you're with me and you see that divergence between the shares and the gold, and that I think there's going to be a pullback in Aussie, as I correlate the Aussie with the gold market, although the Aussie has way outperformed the gold. Give me a Y if you're with me. So we'll look at the Treasury market now as well, and a couple of weeks, whether or not the Fed's going to move or not. We've had some weak data. Treasuries still look like they're vulnerable to me for some type of pullback. I really don't know what to do. It almost looks like we still could have one good sell-off. Maybe we'll get it on an NFP number. And I correlate this with the yen, and the yen is all with the S&P. So the yen, I said on Monday, I think that we're going to have an opportunity to short it if we want to, that there'd be one more push up towards 124. That's almost manifested at this point. And the S&Ps extended further than I thought they would. We're having a little bit of a reversal day in the S&Ps today, up against old resistance. Still, anything could happen. Maybe we're getting an advanced warning here. The S&Ps are not taking out these highs, although the dollar has. Or maybe the market's going to look at the dollar being too strong as being a problem. But this is still potentially a failing rally in the S&Ps. We're underneath last week's highs, so we'll see what happens. An NFP disappointment could be what leads the way for another sell-off in the S&Ps along with the dollar. So I'm looking, the dollar and the S&Ps have traded hand in hand for a while. So if I'm right about a dollar top, an equity top could be in the offing as well. Give me a Y if you're with me and you understand that correlation. Any questions on the outside markets going into the ECB and going into the NFP? Okay, let's move to our instruments. We always start off with Euro USD. So on the Euro USD, I have this line that worked right in here at this 102.20 level. And if we're going to spike in the dollar, I have a couple of potential reversal areas, the 104.80 level, 105.20 to 104.30 would be near the lows of the move that we had last March. Here we are, we're almost there. Pretty ugly week. So I'm alert for reversals. If you notice, even if we do make new highs, new lows here, this is the daily. The daily's diverging. And even if they go for the stops here under 104.60, and it looks likely that they will, I'm alert for reversals. We have a big divergence on the weekly, right? We still have divergences on the daily. We're still above 30 with us making new lows for the move here. So here are a couple areas to pay attention to. In the euro, should we spike on Draghi, is right around the 104.70 level, which is about 90 pips from here. And it's not just getting to 104.90. We want to see the 4-hour hold above the 30 range on the RSI to give us another divergence. Same scenario happening here on the 1 hour. So those are some of my levels for the euro. I have some under right around 105.20, and again at 104.50 at news. So perhaps we have to clean out the last longs in the euro under 104.60 before we get a reversal. But I'm leaning, as I'm looking for some type of inflection and reversal point. I'm looking for potential buying opportunities here in the euro around the 105.20 to 104.50, 104.40 level. So in the next 100 pips or so, check your 4-hour. If we're holding above 30 after the Draghi announcement, look for reversal candles. Same scenario in the pound, although I'm less positive on the pound. We're now getting to some reaction levels. I'm thinking right around this 148, 147 level. But what has me positive on the euro and wanting to attempt a bottom pick is the actual euro pound. So euro pound hasn't made a new low for many weeks, actually months. The low was made back in July. We've had many new lows in the euro USD. I'm not a permabull in euro pound. I called this rally, then I said look for 71 to 70, and we got it. And we're starting to carve out potentially a right shoulder here. So we're getting successive new lows in the euro, right? Here you go. New low, new low, new low, new low. Maybe another one tomorrow, and then you look at euro pound. Higher low, same low, pushing up to new highs, breaking out over this level. The reason I keep bringing up the euro pound to you is regardless whether or not we wash out, even if we wash out this right shoulder, we'd have one of my favorite formations, a third drive. I think there's a good possibility we're not going to. And the reason I talk about it is that this is head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and we begin to break out over 74, you're looking at the potential of almost an 80 euro pound. So it's a bit of a campaign trade for me. And when euro pound, I'm bullish, constructive on. My preferred buy on breaks is the euro, and my preferred short on rallies is the pound. Give me a Y if you're with me. So with all the dollar bullishness and the dollar pushing to new highs, euro pound has not made new lows. That's a market message. And then even if it does, it's a third drive. We've already diverged once. Here was your confirmed low. Here was your first divergence. And even if it washed out to 68.60, we would have our second divergence. Either right shoulder and we go from here, or one more washout. I've been telling people to buy this market here over the last few weeks, and from the lows, they're being rewarded a bit, about 100 pips off the low. Give me a Y if you're with me, and understand my rationalization for my trade selection and having the euro be the preferred long when the dollar's strong, and when the dollar's weak, preferred short on rallies. If I think the dollar's going to recover, will be cable. Give me a Y if you're with me. So cable, I talked about that we would head down under this low. I talked about the confirmed low that we had here, right here, a few weeks ago. I said confirm low and then talked about the 61.8% retrace. So this was a big trade for people that paid attention to my view on Euro Pound, which made the pound the preferred short, which has been much weaker than the euro. That's why Euro Pound's been acting well. And I'm still seeing no reason for a bottom, at least not yet. But this is a classic lesson of knowing when you have a confirmed low that the probability of this low being taken out is high because it was confirmed by momentum and the price. I had a 3 drive line right here to set up the short, and now we have taken out this low. We are diverging a little bit from back here, but I'm thinking that we could work a bit lower, 48, 47.50, if you're so inclined to fade cable weakness. That's an area I'd be paying attention to. But at this point, no divergence, at least short term, well under this 30 level. So this again is why Euro Pound is working. So we're confirming the lows in the pound, not confirming the lows in the euro. Even on the 1 hour, we're still diverging here. So does everyone understand which one is your preferred long, preferred short, based on RSI structure, the Euro Pound action, and the relative strength readings? Give me a Y if you do. Okay, let's move over to US dollar yen. On Monday, I said I thought we could make one more move to this third drive line. So here we were Monday. If you bought it looking for the third drive line up here, we're not that far away, we're about 40 pips away. Doesn't look like we're going to have 4-hour divergence here. So, and we're not going to have it here. But if you're long, I think that this could be a decent area. We could also just melt through it like we did through 2230, but I'd be looking at this 24 level to start giving me some short-term divergences right up here for potential reversals, because if the dollar is peaking, I expect a peak here as well. If you want to get short now, the momentum is a bit too strong for me. It's a little bit weaker in USD CAD and even USD Swiss, but 24 was the target, so at the minimum you're looking to take profits at 24, and you have to wait for divergences to take shorts on that position. Give me a Y if you're with me. We start closing above 24, we're going to take out 25, and as I said, this is a very important level here on weekly for the bears to make a stand, for it to be a right shoulder. Here's your left shoulder, here's your neckline, here's your head, and looking for this right shoulder to develop up around this 124.30 level. You could protect yourself if you want to attempt shorts here with stops over 25.30. So potential shorting opportunity with about 100 pip risk over that 25.30 level is the way I'd approach US dollar yen. Of course, not putting them on, especially in front of the NFP on Friday. Most of these, even if you scalp it tomorrow, I'd still recommend being flat for the NFP or being in very lightly with reduced leverage after the ECB, yet to really put on the majority of your positions post NFP and next week as well, because all of this action could stretch into early next week. I do have some cycles due around the 6th of December. Give me a Y if you're with me on the yen. So I've been talking about the euro yen. Let's look at some of the crosses, thinking that it's bottomed. We've gotten a decent lift here in euro yen. I still think there's more upside. If we get any kind of break to retest the lows, we've had nice divergence. I think we're going to recover up towards 132, 133 in the weeks ahead. The guppy is breaking down. So this was something I pointed out up here. Guppy still looks negative to me. I think we're headed towards this 180 level eventually. So on the yen crosses, your preferred short because of EG, and more bearishness in the pound is your guppy. Your preferred long is euro yen. So just like your preferred long is euro on the yen crosses, your preferred long is euro yen. Your preferred short is the guppy on strength and buying euro yen on weakness. Give me a Y if you're with me on the yen crosses. So this was a pretty good idea for anyone that took it. Moving on to the commodity currencies, I drew this 3-drive line here. When we were here Monday after this poke, here we were Monday, said the formation looked incomplete to me. I drew this line. Take a picture. Right to the pip. Right to the pip. So if we get one more spike in the dollar, perhaps we get a nice pullback in the Aussie back towards the 71 level. A nice 200 pip decline with maybe a washout in gold would be a nice buying opportunity to me. We are diverging here on this third drive, so if you're long, you need to be out. I'm not saying that we can't push and develop better divergences here, but this was the forecast for a third drive to the top. We're there. Long-term constructive on Aussie, but I'm going to wait for some weakness to set in here. I have a lot of confluence here around the 71.5 level. This would be a nice level for me to start looking at the long side again. So perhaps a 200 pip break coming in Aussie, along with one more washout in the gold towards 1030. Give me a Y if you're with me. Canada, we're looking for shorts, but from higher. So this was the action in the crude that gave us this candle. Been trading Canada pretty good. I'm looking at a few areas. I have some areas up here around the 135 level for a possible short in Canada. We get through that. That would be a new high. We will diverge on the daily. We get through that, then we're having a crude collapse and we're heading up towards 38. So 135 is an area of interest for me for potential short in USD CAD. That's another 130 pips or so to the upside. I know it sounds far away to you right now, but I'm telling you, with the NFP numbers and Saudi oil ministers making noise and an OPEC meeting coming here in the next several days, that perhaps we're going to get something to set some type of high and Canadian spikes with the dollar that's in the top. Give me a Y if you're with me. Aussie and Kiwi charts are a little bit more clean to me. Taking a look at some of the other pairs that I talk about from time to time. Euro Aussie, I've been looking for a low. We just don't seem to get it. We have some divergences here developing here. You know, here's 1, 2, 3. Way overdue for some type of reaction in Euro Aussie. So be careful there with Aussie showing signs of a top for a correction and the Euro setting up for a possible bounce area at 105.20 to 104.5. Euro Aussie could correct quite dramatically, so be careful with your shorts here now. We are diverging. It's not great, but it's not terrible on the 1 hour. Here's your confirmed low. Then we diverged here, and we're getting another minor divergence on the 4 hour. Getting better divergences here on the 3. So I would lean towards buying weakness in Euro Aussie for a reaction. That could take us all the way back towards the 46 range. There's 46 again. So a day at a time. Pretty good divergence. Decent third drive formation here as well. Here's one. Confirm low. Divergence. Looks like the third drive line is going to come in at 360, so maybe another 100 pips lower. Look for it. The Aussie yen has gotten back to above the breakout here. Here's the Aussie yen weekly. Okay, so I've been looking for 89.5 for a while. So with Aussie looking like it might be a little toppy here, there could be some shorts setting up here in the Aussie yen. There's your daily. 4 hours still has a lot of momentum, but there could be at least a pullback to 89.20. Perhaps we're getting something here on the 1 hour. We're beginning to diverge, so be pretty natural since 89.20, 89.50 was a pivot point on the daily. See, it was a breakdown. We stalled for a few days, and then we got above it. So 89.20 is a natural number. If we start getting back under 89.20, then something different is happening. And the Aussie yen could be setting up for something more dramatic. But we're going to take it a day at a time and look for 89.20 initially. Any questions on that? Take a quick look at EuroCAD with what's happening in CAD. I've been looking for a bottom here as well. This structure is much better. We have a lot of different divergences here in EuroCAD on the 4 hour. Starting to get some higher lows. So this is looking interesting to me. This EuroCAD has a little bit stronger structure than we have in Euro Aussie. So I think we could rally back to previous support, becomes new resistance, and could take us back to initial 45 level and possibly back to the breakdown. Any questions on anything I've covered here today? So I really advise, I'll tell you a story. A trader came to me once and said, Dale, I was right about the euro on the NFP and its direction. And I said to him, good guess. So I guarantee you that the markets will be here after both of these red events. Most of these ideas and levels that I talked about will be there after the dust settles for retests, etc. Please don't try and be a hero. Prudence over valor. The difference between pros and amateurs are pros know how to lose, so they have money left to be right with. I think that I've given you some decent levels to pay attention to. 24.20 in the yen, 104.70 or so, 104.50 in euro, possibly a new low, but looking for an inflection point here. And even if this inflection point doesn't work on an intermediate term basis, I think we're getting close, and there are a lot of wave counts and projections and targets that I've heard about for well over a year that takes a Dixie towards 102, 102.5. So the whole world loves the dollar. So perhaps there's going to be a time where the majority on the dollar isn't correct, similarly to what happened last summer, which we were there for. So I wish everyone good hunting. In the next couple days, I will take a look at how the levels all worked out on Monday. Good luck. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Thank you, RoboForex, for giving